Listen to us if you want to live. Hello and welcome to A Star to Steer Her by 10 Forward number 23.
Whoa! I thought it was not 23.
Yes.
That's a lot. And yet I feel like we don't do these nearly often enough.
I feel like there was a period where we were doing them semi-frequently, and now it's like kind of slowed down to a...
Well, we did all the Star Wars.
Yeah, and they were hitting fast and heavy and such. But yes, hello and welcome, and as you may have guessed from that terrible introduction, at least I didn't do a bad Schwarzenegger impression, we are discussing Terminator and Terminator 2, Le Day of Judgment, as the French call it.
They don't.
That was a terrible joke. That sounded better in my head.
Wow, I don't know why you did that.
I didn't, no. It was bad. I'm Chris, and joining me today are...
Ames.
Caitlin.
And me, Jake, doing the bad Arnold.
Being fair, I didn't say no one would. I just said I didn't.
It's not bad. I'd give it like a 7 out of 10.
Yeah, 7.
You are too generous.
I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, no, it's fun.
I say keep it.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, we decided, oh, shit, we watched Prototype. Let's talk about some of the most famous murder robots in cinema.
Which is why we haven't announced this, as we almost never do. And
Yeah.
then somehow also never bother going back in the previous week when we say next week on and updating that, because y'all are expecting this to be Threshold and Meld.
That's true.
And that's going to be a great episode, but we moved this one here.
Really, is just increasing the suspense before
True,
Threshold.
true.
Just, I mean, I feel like it's worth it.
And being fair, unlike the many other times where we could have gone back, this time we are actually recording it, too late to make that change.
We decided this weeks ago, but okay.
Oh, yeah, I guess we could have recorded that part before recording
Well,
this.
fuck it. It's
Why,
fine.
is this going up literally this week?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. You're going to time crunch time.
Yeah.
Our topical jokes will actually be topical for once.
Haha! Russia, Ukraine. Fuck!
Oh, no.
God.
Considering what we're talking about, actually.
No.
Oh, God.
So,
We
World War
caused
III,
Judgment
World
Day.
War III in these movies.
Oh, no, it is Judgment
how's
Day.
World War III going IRL us in 4 days?
Yeah, but also this means that I think in several weeks, unless Chris cuts this, I make a comment that Picard will be airing this particular day. And now it won't,
Damn
so ignore me.
We have ruined
Picard.
all of our timelines. Which is appropriate. This is Terminator.
Yeah, let's go back in time and fix this all by murdering Sarah Connor.
Yeah, so Terminator 1 and 2. First one, pretty basic. Robot from the future is sent back to kill the mother of the leader of the Resistance before he is born. They send back one of the Resistance members to protect her. And he does, but also in the process knocks her up. Oh, grandfather paradox.
Hot.
He's the daddy of the
Oh, I called that so early.
dude. Judgment Day, probably the kind of I think...
It's a wash because I hate the boy so much.
Oh, yeah. Well, I was gonna say,
Otherwise, I really like T2.
Yeah.
But the boy is so
well, I was going to
bad.
say, I think generally in the public consciousness, it's I think the preferred one.
I mean,
overall.
it's definitely a stronger film.
Yeah.
Well, it's got all the catchphrases.
It's got all
Yeah.
the catchphrase. Yeah, I mean, well, so when T1 came out, Arnold, I mean, he was a star. He'd been in Conan and stuff, but he wasn't.
Punching camels.
He wasn't Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Well, the thing
yet.
is, so I was actually reading up on that. I guess the timeline was such that Conan, I think, was kind of just coming out as they were filming.
Yeah,
this.
they had to postpone filming because he was busy Conaning.
There we go. But yeah, so T2, a few years later, a different Terminator was sent back to kill John this time, who's an annoying, preteen. His mother's in the loony bin. Adult John, unseen, reprograms and sends back an Arnold model to protect John.
We see a clip of him.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
No, we do. Oh yeah, we do.
At the
we do,
very
we do, we do.
beginning.
But we don't. They don't show him actually doing it. They show him leading people with goggles. I mean, what's the word I want? Binoculars. And yeah, then it turns into let's stop the tech that caused it. Because guess what? More grandfather paradoxes. Cyberdyne got the idea for their stuff from the leftover bits of the Terminator from the first movie.
Terminator is his own grandpa.
Yes, like Fry. And yeah, I mean, you know these films probably, or at least
I didn't. This is my first seeing of both films.
That's shocking.
And I had never seen T2.
So big in the 90s.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing is like jumping ahead a little. Like you can tell from watching T2 that they actually play it like for a while you don't know who the bad guy is.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
But all the advertisements had given it away. So
oh no.
Yeah, like the ads made it like it just completely ruined the whole concept.
Yeah, like I think did you ask me if I was ruined on the twist?
Yeah.
Okay, if that was the twist, then yes, I was ruined on that twist. Just based on doing some of my research when they, learning who the cast of characters is, because I try to write down everyone's names so I can refer to them. Yes, it's clear that there is a different Terminator.
Yeah, but like they really do, I got to give Cameron credit, if not the people that cut the ads.
Yeah, like the film does a good job of.
Yeah, because it opens very similarly to T1
with butts
and beating up jerks
to
steal their clothes.
It's the movie of looking for pants.
Yes, but it's not until they're at the mall and they have that confrontation that you're like, oh
my god. But yeah, if you'd seen any of the trailers, you already knew, unfortunately.
Oh, that's a shame.
Yeah. But that's the second one. And obviously we're going to overlap a lot, but we'll at least start with the first one. So this was your first time seeing it, Ames?
It was.
Yeah, and this was only my, I think, second time seeing it all the way through. First time was, God, probably a decade ago, roughly. So it had been a while. The one thing I remembered, unfortunately, was that Kyle Reese, not the best actor.
No.
He's pretty.
Yeah, but...
Did you see that butt? So many butts.
Arnold's was good. I'd forgotten about that.
Kyle's was also good.
I don't remember it, but I believe you.
It was good butt.
I did remark,
he was just a much leaner man, but he was still muscular.
Yeah. That's the thing. Like, I don't actually
bump.
go for Arnold's type. He's too huge. But he did have a very nice tuchus. And also, I said the big fucking neck muscle. He's practically a Cardassian.
Oh, he'd make a great Cardassian. That'd be really fun.
Yeah, but I don't know. This movie, like you said at the beginning, it's very straightforward.
Yeah. There's a certain, I think, charm to its kind of low-budget quality.
Yeah.
That I feel like is, unfortunately, sort of lost with 2.
Okay. Question, because I asked Jake this last night. Which Arnold puppet head is better? Terminator Part 1 or... Not Red Spawn.
Total Recall?
Total Recall.
Oh.
I feel like this puppet head was better than the Total Recall one, but because we only see the Total Recall one for, half a second.
And it's being stretched out, too.
Yeah ridiculously.
It's being manipulated.
Well, hold on. I guess the question is, so are you talking about the one where he yanks a thing out of his nose? Or are you thinking of the one when the lady head comes off?
Whichever one is the bad one. The one where he yanked the things out of his nose, I thought looked fine.
Yeah, that one looks fine.
Yeah, that's fine.
The one when the lady head thing comes off, it's like...
I forgot that there was one there, too. I don't remember what that one looked like.
It would look
so
really bad.
That's the bad one.
Now, was that also Stan Winston Studios?
I have no idea. But that movie, that movie was much later than Terminator.
Yeah,
so.
we see so much of the Terminator puppet head that it gets very distracting very quickly.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I do though, when he's a full skeleton and there's that kind of almost Harryhausen-esque jerkiness to the stop motion.
Yeah.
I love stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. It's one of those things where, it doesn't look great to modernize because we're used to crystal smooth, fucking James Cameron Avatar CG. We don't even think about James Cameron stop motion, not CG. But like for the time, that was pretty good stop motion.
Well, and I feel like especially when you're doing something that's supposed to be threatening, like the unnatural jerkiness just helps add to that. Like, ugh.
I just thought it looked like he was riding a skateboard.
Oh yeah, because the way he was limping. I actually did see recently online, YouTube was like, "Hey, check out this video," and it was someone had like smoothed out Harryhausen stop motion, and fuck me, it looked wrong. Like the jerkiness was gone. It technically should have looked better, but it did not.
Maybe we can talk about that later in the future when we do
the other Terminators.
Distant Origins. We should watch Jurassic Park
Yes. Oh my God. Any
Because-
excuse to watch Jurassic Park.
I haven't
Originally they were going to do stop motion
They
for
were.
the dinosaurs.
Mhm. Good thing they didn't, because the
Yeah.
dinosaurs hold fucking up.
Yeah, no, they look great.
Though, to their credit, I think when they were designing the models for the CG, they still, like, applied...
Okay, we'll talk about this when we talk about Jurassic Park.
Yes, stuff
One
understood.
day, in theory. The
reason
other
not
thing
to.
about the puppet head that I thought was kind of sad was, he loses the whole eye thing, and you can see that it's a laser thing, and he's a robot and all this stuff. He puts the sunglasses on to hide that, but then whenever they show close-ups of Arnold, you can see through the sunglasses that he has 2 human eyes.
I actually
That's a
didn't
bummer.
notice, but I wasn't looking for
Yeah,
it, so...
They probably should have covered, just put, an eye patch over his eye so it wouldn't show through. Or better yet, put, a little light in there so it would
There we
glow.
go.
Or get better, or darker sunglasses, super dark sunglasses.
Paint it black on the inside on that
He
side.
doesn't
or
need to
something.
see.
I guess there's sort of the,
He's a robot.
the what's the word?
Terminator.
Schwarzenegger.
The kind of the balance between, like, dark enough to hide his eyes, but not so dark the camera's gonna reflect in them, or something.
Mm.
Also, this was, relatively speaking, a low-budget film.
Yeah, it was pretty low budget.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It didn't bother me so much that there was little production errors like that, just because
Like I said, there's a...
there's a charm.
Yeah, it... And it also, again, it keeps them focused. There is actually, Edward Furlong aside, there is kind of, a focus issue with Terminator 2.
Edward Furlong?
The kid who plays John
actor.
Connor.
Oh, and T2.
Yeah.
Sorry, we keep jumping ahead.
There's a focus issue there, whereas this one is just,
The thing with Terminator 1 where the focus kind of ends up really not doing it for me are the couple of times we flash forward into the future in John Reese's time where he's just Kyle Reese. What did I call him?
John Reese.
Son of a cunt.
Davis.
John Glenn. And yeah, so we see a couple, days in the life of Kyle Reese doing the thing, patting a puppy. And they just felt so uninteresting and out of place to me. And I felt like we weren't learning anything. And
See, actually, I didn't mind them, but I can see how they wouldn't work for everyone.
yeah, they came out of nowhere. Maybe it was where they were in the stories. It was just why are we seeing this?
Yeah.
We need to know how much he spanked it over that picture of Sarah Connor.
Yeah.
That's the
So
only
much.
reason.
I mean, the one time they did it, actually, I thought it was kind of clever, because it's he's seeing just the construction equipment, and it kind of sets off his, memories of, what it reminds him of from his time, because, of course, he's never seen a benign machine under control of a man.
Mm.
So, the treads on a backloader are, to him, the treads on a giant fucking machine.
Robo-tank.
Which, actually, it seems like Skynet, at least in the first movie, does exactly what you want, Jake.
What's that?
The robots are just the vehicles.
Yeah, no, they're very, they have the human models, but they're really only used for infiltration.
Yeah.
Which makes sense.
Yeah. At least in the first one. It looks like in the second one they might be used as foot
Yeah,
soldiers.
they're just kind of like soldiery guys. But they're really scary, so it works.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, there's definitely a psychological element to it.
Yeah.
future
Giant metal skeleton monsters with glowing eyes.
The future
Fuck.
is made of skulls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everywhere there's skulls.
Yeah, it's kind of like the, the sewers of Paris.
There are a lot of skulls in the sewers of Paris.
Not the sewers, but there are
Catacombs.
extensive catacombs,
Oh, yeah,
and there are skulls
catacombs.
fucking everywhere in the walls.
In the future scenes, it always makes me laugh, the bit where it shows 2 children and they're watching TV, and then it turns and it's just a fire in the TV.
Yeah.
And I feel like that shot has been parodied in so many things. I'm always seeing the people watching the fire in the TV.
Yeah.
And kids these days won't understand it because TVs are too small to
TVs
have
are
a
just
fireplace
fires.
inside them.
Yeah.
Shame.
So, I'm not clever enough to unpack this, but there was definitely some commentary on the fact that, or with the fact that if you look at it in a way, Kyle was just as programmed as the Terminator. John knew it was his dad, so spent his time with him making sure he'd want to fuck his mom.
Mm.
Yep, look at this photo. You can hold on to it.
Yeah, my mom, huh? Pretty hot, don't you think?
All
Don't
these
you think, Kyle?
stories to build her up as the greatest woman in the world, so that when it came time to volunteer to go back in time, you want to do it, Kyle?
Kyle, I hear
Maybe
she's
have
got
nuts.
3 vaginas.
She's supposed to be 19 in this movie.
Yeah, that's weird.
That's kind of a little weird. She doesn't look it because the actress is 28?
I have no idea.
27? I looked it up and I think it was something in the 27, 28.
I mean, everybody in the 80s looked 10 years older anyway.
Because of the hair.
Because of the hair.
Because of the fucking hair.
I actually I was talking, just last night was saying this to Caitlin. I saw a thing recently, and it was from, I don't know if it's an old, like, news story or something, but it was footage of, so not like from a TV show, it's not bad casting. It was footage of high school seniors from, like, 1989. And it's just looking at all these alleged high school seniors in a room, and you're just like, suddenly the casting in Grease doesn't feel that wrong.
Oh, dear.
They all looked so much older
They all
than, like,
looked
18.
45 years old.
It was fucking bonkers.
Everybody smoked, and
And they did whatever that was to their hair.
Yeah, the hair did not. Oh, God. I said at one point, it's like, Linda, I don't care how much hairspray is in your hair. You need a helmet when you're on your Vespa. No helmets in these fucking movies.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's the 80s, man.
Actually, no, that's not true. Robert Patrick eventually put one on.
Well, he was a cop, though. He kind of had to. And he didn't put it on. He just turned his head into a helmet.
That's true.
Nice.
Um,
Wild. Super, super wild.
Oh, yeah, so there's the obvious Trek connection in the form of Paul Winfield.
Yay! It was good seeing him. I was very sad when he died.
Yeah. And his partner, Bishop.
Yeah.
His partner there was he's the android Bishop in Aliens.
Yeah.
Sure, I believe you.
But, less obvious Trek connection, our...
Psychoanalyst?
Yes, our criminal psychologist there.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember his name.
Earl Bone. Or
Thank you.
Ben?
Oh, yeah, Bane,
Earl Boen.
Yeah. Anyway, voice of Nagilum.
That asshole. I
Yep.
hate him more now.
No shit.
Also, I think I looked at a couple people, but I think he's also in like a shitload of Star Trek video games as a voice actor. As
He
well.
is, yeah. He is in a lot of video games.
He's actually mostly a voice actor.
I mean, though, I gotta say, like, what a masterclass in making you instantly hate the
Yeah.
character. Like, from the moment he shows up on screen in T1, you're like, oh, this guy's a piece of fucking work.
This guy's the actual villain of the movie.
Yeah.
The 80s were really good at having those guys, you know, because there's Walter Peck in Ghostbusters, and, you know, in Aliens, Paul, what's his name's character?
Reiser?
Paul Reiser.
Paul Reiser's character. Like, just the minute they walk in the room, you're like, oh, God, I fucking hate you.
He wasn't a psychoanalyst.
Not Paul Reiser.
No, but his character in the movie,
Just like
the guy who shows up and right away you're
loathsome
like,
person.
Oh, not because they're psychoanalysts.
No,
but
just
because
because
they're characters that are just low.
They just immediately-
Heck was from the EPA.
See, I just
Yeah.
assumed you meant all psychoanalysts.
Oh, yeah, no.
Sis had no dick.
Yeah, Walter Peck, from EP. Oh, the fucking coworker in Die Hard, that asshole.
Mm-hmm.
And Walter Peck's in it too as an asshole journalist at that time, but that's a little
Well,
different.
that guy just has a punchable face.
Poor bastard.
William Atherton.
Yes.
Wow, we're just saying lots of things that aren't this movie.
Sorry.
Yeah, I think very early in my notes, like the moment we meet the psychoanalyst guy, I'm like, I hope this guy gets murdered to fucking death by Terminators.
Sadly, no.
Well,
The
what if
one
they're
guy,
both films?
the one guy in that building you wanted to see get it.
Yeah, so much.
Like, you would have been perfectly happy if Paul Winfield had used him as a human shield. We would not have blamed him. We still would have loved him.
Yeah, his character was sympathetic. He listened to the people.
But what a blessing that for Cameron, that he kept him alive long enough to be an even bigger piece of shit in the sequel. So
True.
if he died there, we wouldn't have gotten some great piece of shit in the next one.
True.
Yeah, he really was the worst. Well, he might have been tied for worst with his orderlies. 'Cause they were also
Christ.
disgusting.
Oh, yeah, fuck those guys.
Horrifying rapists.
Yeah.
Yuck.
But yeah, I think...
I mean, probably.
It's like you said with these movies, though, and, like, it's, you know, easier to forget maybe in the second one because of the way it's filmed, but, like, really, like, from the perspective of any sort of authority figures in this, like, there's nothing wrong with what they're doing, with the exception of the psycho. Fuck that guy.
Oh yeah, fuck everyone in that mental hospital.
But, like, you know, yeah, these two people just commandeered a car and tore through the streets of Los Angeles like lunatics. Of course we're going to arrest them. Oh, you're from the future? Okay, sweetie. Like, yeah, no, like, keeping him locked up, probably reasonable. But yes, it was nice that, you know, Paul Winfield was like I said, he'd listened, but he was also just like, look, here's why everything Kyle's saying is nuts in a very kind, sensible way. It's like, he was probably wearing Kevlar, or he probably busted his hand but was high on the drugs.
Yeah. What is it? PCP?
PCP.
Yeah. It's always PCP.
Always.
It was the 80s.
Oh, God, they were using that nonsense when I was in college, claiming that PCP made you invulnerable to pain.
I thought that was meth. Are meth and PCP the same thing?
No, PCP's angel dust.
But is that not the same thing as meth?
No, meth's a different thing.
Great shoes on Kyle Reese. Don't know if
that he swiped from that factory, from the outlet.
Yeah, which actually...
his Nikes.
Yeah.
With the Velcro.
Which, I don't know if there was any kind of deal there, because they did really take a minute to show them off at one point. Like, so you got a good look at them. But what was kind of fun was, we're watching with our roommate, and when he grabbed, like, a shirt off the rack, just kind of seemingly blindly, he's like, oh, and he happens to get one that fits him. But then a second later, when he grabs the shoes, he compares it to his foot before taking the pair he takes.
Good call.
So he actually did stop and go, wait a minute.
Well, I imagine that's also a little bit of his life. Like, I'm sure he's had to wear dead people's shoes and been like, I can't wear these ones.
Yeah, wearing a jacket that's not the right size is one thing. Wearing shoes that are not the right size will really fuck you up.
Yeah.
Yeah, how could he have run from that truck? This is also the movie of running from trucks.
Yes.
Trucks.
Into factories.
The only natural predator of the Terminator, the factory.
I know. We made a comment while watching. Guns don't kill Terminators. Factories kill Terminators. I wanted to talk for a second about like where this movie came from.
Yes.
Because
Where did it come from, Ames?
James Cameron is the short answer to that. The slightly longer answer that I'm not going to go too far into because I just read this on Wikipedia is that he was filming Piranha 2: The Spawning, as one does.
Sure.
And apparently he was like feverish and ill one night, and he had a fever dream. And the premise of this movie came from this fever dream, and the quote on Wikipedia is, "A dream about a metallic torso holding kitchen knives dragging itself from an explosion." So I'm sorry that's what you dream about, James Cameron, but thank you for making this movie.
Jesus fucking Christ!
It's horrifying to be James Cameron.
Yeah, seriously, I've been very ill and not had dreams that pants-shittingly horrifying. If I were James Cameron, I would never sleep again. Fuck.
He doesn't. That's why he's making like 6 more Avatar movies.
And goes to visit the Titanic every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Does he? What?
Not really, but he did end up, after he made the movie, he did do a whole documentary about going to see the...
Yeah, isn't he one of the few people that's been down in the Marianas Trench or something?
Yeah.
Probably, yeah. He really
like
likes the ocean
literally
now.
3 people or some shit like that.
Of course he really likes the ocean. Made him gajillions of dollars with Titanic.
He made Abyss first.
Yeah, that's true. Now, did they test out the tech for the T2 there, or was it vice versa?
What do you mean?
Because doesn't Abyss have similar, like, they use water effects, they're kind of similar to the liquid metal effects?
I have a note from Wikipedia
Perfect.
that says, because Terminator 1 originally wanted to have the kind of alien, the Terminator shifting kind of effect, and they were like, we cannot do this. It's 1984. Who do you think we are? 1991? So they waited until they thought the tech had kind of caught up, and they, quote, used the Abyss kind of as proof of concept.
Okay, so...
Yeah, that makes sense.
I don't think I've seen the Abyss either. But
I haven't either.
I'm trying to picture what 1984 Liquid Terminator would look like, and all I can see in my head is Play-Doh.
Yeah, just claymation.
Stop
it would just
motion
be
Play-Doh.
fucking Gumby.
All I can think of is that scene in Austin Powers when the president is like, Dr. Evil, it's 1967. That amount of money doesn't exist.
Yeah. Gumby, oh god.
Oh no.
Now I'm just picturing Gumby with the, like, the face part torn off and the red eye.
That'd look pretty good. It'd probably look better than the puppet head.
Gumby's cowering not Gumby, Pokey's in a corner like, no!
Holy Toledo.
Yeah, but purportedly also where this movie did not come from was a Harlan Ellison story. So you may notice at the end of Terminator 1, because I'm sure you're all watching along, when you spotted in SoundCloud that, they didn't do Star Trek this week, they did Terminator. I better very quickly watch the Terminator. But in the end credits scene, there's an acknowledgement to the works of Harlan Ellison. Because Harlan Ellison continues to prove to be the little bitchiest bitch in all of sci-fi. Because he was like, wah, this sounds like a story that I post to the outer limit. You stole it. And, gigantic controversy and all kinds of, they bring it to court and all this stuff. And Cameron is pissed that they had to, they settled for an undisclosed amount of money and putting the screen on the end of the movie. But he's pissed that they did that because he says, I never even saw that episode. I did not take this from you.
Is it anything like it? Like, have you read it or seen it or whatever?
I've read a synopsis of it, and all it does is it sounds like the Ellison story, it's called Soldier, is about machines from the future that travel to the past and fight.
I feel like that had
Battle
probably
bots with time travel?
already been done before in some capacity
That's
anyway.
the thing. It's
anything could be an Ellison story because he's written literally thousands of short stories.
Yeah. He tried to sue Dr. Seuss that time. Claimed Green Eggs and Ham was his.
I can't tell if you're joking
He's
because
joking.
that sounds like something he would
So
do.
the problem is I am joking, but actually I bet if we looked it up, you'd be like...
Well, similar. It wasn't Ellison, but a similar thing happened when The Matrix came out. That there was some writer came out of the woodwork to claim that it was a rip-off of their story.
Yeah, I remember that. Which again, it's like, I mean, a lot of people have done this kind of.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it's like, the very basis of an idea can sound familiar, but you always do something different. Like, it's not. People can have the same idea twice.
Yeah, I think this is, what's the old saying? There's something like 5 stories, basically, or something like.
Well, I like that. It's not crediting Harlan Ellison in any meaningful way.
Yeah, no.
It is acknowledging the works of.
Yes, this is a guy that exists. We're not telling you if this is relevant in any way, like had anything to do with this film.
It is kind of funny.
He's such a little bitch.
It really is.
Because apparently he's done this a whole bunch of times too.
Crank.
Like, I feel like he gets most of his money from suing people and not from doing any art.
Well, that tracks. I mean, genre fiction doesn't always make you a ton of money.
Mm-hmm.
Who was it? Kurosawa famously made more money off of the lawsuit against the Good,
the Bad, and the Ugly.
No, for A Fistful of Dollars than he did off of Yojimbo, which that actually was just a ripoff. Like they even like straight up had to admit, like, yeah, we just rewrote that movie into a western.
We kind of hope no one would notice.
Whoopsie.
Exactly.
Here's another small note I found on the Wikipedia. Whichever production company was producing this, I forget which one, they requested that Reese have a robot dog friend, but Cameron didn't end up, including a robot dog friend. I'm livid.
Probably for the best. It would not.
But we saw what happened to the one dog that was in these movies.
The dog at the motel was okay.
There were lots of dogs in this movie. Because I felt like that was kind of a cool device. The idea that dogs can sense Terminators.
Yeah, they know something's wrong.
Yeah, because we see in both movies, whenever there's a dog barking, it's a sign that there's a Terminator nearby.
And
which one of you noticed that the dog didn't bark at Arnold in T2 though?
Yeah, when they were at the junkyard or wherever they were hanging out.
The junkyard / trailer park / bunker.
There were kids playing with dogs, and the dogs did not seem to give a shit about Arnold. So,
well, was that after they had turned on his learn from things switch? Maybe he had
slathered
I would give the dog a buke bone.
He'd slathered himself in bacon before getting there.
But then they want to hang out with him. Did the, and this is jumping ahead to T2, but fuck it. Did they turn his empathy switch on? Or turn the learn things himself on? Maneuver to pay off in any way?
Yeah, I think it was.
Now I know why you cry.
Yeah, he knew why they cry.
That was a nice line.
I know.
I feel like it did. I just feel like it was somewhat subtle.
Yeah, he kind of loosened up a little.
Yeah.
It allowed him to have so much exposition talk with that horrible boy.
You're right. Yeah.
I wish they hadn't done it.
Yeah.
Boy.
Made you kind of wish for Kyle Reese back, didn't it? From a ability to act perspective.
It suddenly just made me wish, maybe the machines have a point.
Speaking of having conversations, man, Arnold had almost no fucking lines in the first movie.
Yeah, it's fewer than 100 words.
Wow.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me.
And of course, I remember, and maybe you've seen the same. I feel like I read ages ago once that the original idea was to not have someone like Arnold as because it was supposed to be an infiltration unit. They wanted someone who you'd be kind of shocked when he
someone that blends in, that isn't immediately noticeable with his gigantic body and schlong. But I have a great quote right here from James Cameron, which is very funny because
is it about Arnold Schwarzenegger's dick?
No, it's just about Schwarzenegger in general because as you said. They didn't want to cast him, A, because they thought he was already a too big an actor that whoever played Reese would have to somehow match that. Good fucking luck, buddy. And also, I guess he really didn't want to, but then he met him and they got along so well. He's like, okay, this is gonna work. And the quote I wrote down is, Casting Arnold Schwarzenegger as our Terminator shouldn't have worked. The guy is supposed to be an infiltration unit, and there's no way you wouldn't spot a Terminator in a crowd instantly if they looked like Arnold. It made no sense whatsoever. But the beauty of movies is they don't have to be logical. They just have to have plausibility. If there's a visceral cinematic thing happening that the audience likes, they don't care if it goes against what's likely.
I like that.
The when we see in the future scene, when we see the Terminator that infiltrates the human bunker, it's not Arnold. It's a different guy.
It's an Italian bodybuilder.
Yeah, but I mean, it's a different body. So I guess they're establishing that yes, all the Terminators are beefy men.
Yeah,
but it doesn't actually it's not Arnold, which makes somewhat more sense because if you had infiltration units, you wouldn't want them to all look like the same guy.
Yeah,
because you'd be like, hey, I killed that guy.
Yeah,
fuck.
Which comes up in the second one.
Yeah.
Although apparently there was a cut scene from one of the terrible sequels that was going to establish that the appearance... it retconned a lot of stuff, including that the T-101 there or whatever was actually originally designed by humans as a robot soldier anyway, and its appearance was based off of a soldier who looked just like Arnold. But the whole funny joke, air quotes, was that he was some country bumpkin sounding boy.
Oh, no.
Like, they had Arnold clearly lip-syncing next to the endoskeleton.
I was
like,
thinking this was going to be like a sung story, but oh god.
And he's like, this here's gonna be me, or something like that. And then, all these executives are like, we gotta do something about the voice. Cut to this gangly little scientist who goes, I'll work on it. And of course, it's fucking Arnold dubbing him.
I hate that.
Yeah. Again, that was cut, and the sequels are still terrible from everything I've heard.
You know what sequel isn't bad, if you haven't seen it, is the television series.
I've heard that's
the
good.
Sarah Connor Chronicles with Summer Glau.
Oh, I don't know if I can watch it then.
Yeah, it's got Summer
Which
Glau.
one's that again? Oh,
River.
From fucking...
Yeah, but she plays a Terminator in that one. So.
Of course she does.
Which is what she basically plays in
That's
Firefly.
And everything.
But it also has Cersei Lannister as Sarah Connor.
Oh, well.
Hetty...
Lena Headey.
That's
yeah,
there it is.
Yeah, that's right.
Do you want to know who else they were thinking of casting?
Sure.
Because originally, I guess they were thinking of casting Schwarzenegger as Kyle Reese. They obviously didn't.
Oh, no.
Yeah, no.
But both Sylvester Stallone and Mel Gibson turned down the role of the Terminator. The studio suggested O.J. Simpson, but Cameron didn't feel like he would be believable as a killer.
I've heard that before.
Which is very funny to me.
See, it's
Yikes.
funny, because when you look at that, I still don't feel like, again, Sylvester Stallone's not going to blend into he's a pretty big guy, too.
There's actually a funny sight gag. Not even a sight, it's an actual joke. If you haven't seen the movie, it's a great movie, despite its terrible box office performance
Death
and
Race.
critical.
Last Action Hero.
Last Action Hero.
Yep.
There's a great gag when the kid is trying to convince... So, okay. The premise of the movie is a kid goes into an Arnold Schwarzenegger movie, and he's trying to... And he's in the movie, but in the movie world, everyone, the Arnold Schwarzenegger character just thinks he's his character. And he's like, no, you're a famous movie star. You're Arnold Schwarzenegger. You're not a cop. Why would you be a schlubby cop? You're a fucking huge man. Here, let me show you. And they go to Blockbuster, and he's like, look, here's a movie that Arnold Schwarzenegger's in, and he shows him the poster for Terminator 2 Judgment Day, and it's Sylvester Stallone in Terminator 2 Judgment Day.
That's very funny.
That is funny.
Which should have been, if they wanted to make the joke better, it should have been O.J. Simpson. Although I think Last Action Hero might have been.
Yeah,
before.
by then it was too late.
I don't know. It might have been before O.J. I don't know.
I guess Mel Gibson, he's a tall fella, but he's not huge, so that
He didn't have
makes
to
a
be
little more
huge,
sense.
so yeah.
Well, that's right. I feel like that's what I'm saying though. Is I feel like Stallone is still a little
I
too
see.
beefy. I still feel like you've got the whole even he wasn't like Sylvester Stallone. If you didn't know who he was, you'd still that's a big guy. Whereas if you didn't know who Mel Gibson was, yeah, he blended into a crowd pretty well. O.J. Simpson again, similarly, if he wasn't O.J. fucking Simpson, I don't know. He's still really tall though. I think so.
Isn't he? He's 6.5.
So
feet
he's
tall,
still
isn't he?
kind of dodgy in that regard. Where you're just like, you gotta stand out. Looking up at him, hoping he hears you.
How's the weather up there? I have a list of potential Kyle Reeses as well, which make me laugh a little bit. Sting, which I fucking love.
Okay, okay.
Christopher Reeve, Mel Gibson again. Probably that everyone just wants him in everything.
He was
huge in the
pretty
80s.
big in the 80s.
Matt Dillon, Kurt Russell,
Oh, Matt Dillon.
Treat Williams,
Huh.
Tommy Lee Jones.
No. As Kyle Reese.
He was already like 90.
And honestly, he's never been a very good-looking man.
He could have been a John Connor from the future.
There we go.
Oh, there it is. Scott Glenn, Michael O'Keefe, and Bruce Springsteen.
Oh,
Bruce
no.
Springsteen.
The boss?
Does he even act?
I feel like even
don't know.
Christopher...
Does the guy that plays Kyle Reese even act?
Yeah, true.
Listen, he's got that body. That's all he
No,
needs.
listen, I think he's hot.
See-
I have no problem. I'm just saying,
I
you
feel
know.
like half the time you see these lists of, oh, here's other actors that were considered for this role. It's like somebody just like jotted down names on a notepad once, and
Yeah.
it's like, oh yeah, no, they considered Tommy Lee Jones for the part of Yoda.
Well,
Someone said his name once during a meeting.
well, kind of famously, like, people say that Ronald Reagan was up for the part of Rick in Casablanca. That's not at all true. He was never seriously considered. They just had to consider him because of his contract with the studio.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, okay.
Though you're saying, you know, he could have played, Tommy Lee Jones could have played old John Connor. Really, what they should have done, he should have played teenage John Connor in T2. Just
Tommy
put...
Lee Jones?
Yeah!
What is wrong with you?
I mean, it would have been better than Edward Furlong.
Oh, that kid.
Yeah. So Edward Furlong, he was in American History X, right?
I had no idea. This apparently was his first film role.
I know
though.
this was his first film. I'm trying to think of like, because he was terrible in this movie.
Yeah, he was not. He was very
I
annoying.
think he was in American History X, and I seem to remember him being alright in that.
He just has a terrible voice.
But,
Why did they not ADR any of that?
But I don't think he's really done much else.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. He's not
Because he's
very
pretty
good.
bad.
Yeah, well, I think like a lot of former child actors, he wound up in a lot of like scrapes with the law.
They should
and
have
shit.
got Macaulay Culkin.
He'd be believable.
Yeah, and I'd believe like, you know.
And I wouldn't be every single fucking scene asking the Terminator to just kill him.
I don't know. This is still like young, annoying Macaulay Culkin. This is like Home Alone era.
But more annoying than this kid?
Here's
See,
the
the writing for this kid, I think
yeah,
also.
is part of the
Frodo.
problem.
Should have got Frodo.
Oh, he would have been right about the right age.
Actually, no. He might have been too. He
Elijah
might have been too
Woods?
young. Still.
Elijah
I
Woods?
don't know. Yeah.
Oh,
Elijah
yeah,
Woods.
no,
What
I-
did he do before that? He was in something, wasn't he?
He was in a bunch of things. He was
North?
in a movie. He was in a movie with Macaulay Culkin.
Oh, that's right.
He was?
It's a fucked up movie too, isn't it?
Not the bad.
Monsters
not
Ball
the
or
bad
whatever?
The
seed.
Good Son.
The Good Son. Yeah, not the bad seed. That's a like from the 50s. Yeah, The Good Son.
Yeah, Macaulay Culkin's like, I don't know, I think he's like adopted by this family, but it turns out he's a psychopath and only Elijah Wood realizes it or something.
Yeah.
Was he adopted from the McAllisters?
Yes.
Because
But yeah.
Kevin!
That was one thing I had said was that part of that thing with the psychologist, like real Uncle Frank from Home Alone vibes. Like for a split second I thought it was the same actor till I realized, oh no, it doesn't look a thing like him.
I don't remember who that is.
He's the asshole. He's the one that you look at in that movie and immediately go, you're the biggest prick in this house. Full of bricks. So holy shit.
Yeah, so T2. Big I would say overall an improvement on the first one.
Cut every scene where him and the boy are like,
Slinging catchphrases?
yeah, and
Ugh.
you've improved the movie exponentially.
Yeah.
okay, but we lost "fuck you, asshole" or whatever the fuck it is, or
That's fine.
no way.
Also, like,
But we taught him how to say "cowabunga" or something.
so Terminator 1 is the first instance of "I'll be back."
Yep.
Yeah, I didn't realize it was literally him saying, I'll be right back.
To murder you.
Yeah, and then that became Arnold's catchphrase for the rest of his career.
Oh, it will be on his tombstone.
But then,
There'll be like a Terminator hand coming out of the grave.
No, it's the little one giving the thumbs up as he...
Yeah, there you go.
But "Hasta la vista, baby" is another catchphrase
Yep.
that originated with the Terminator series.
I definitely like the fact that so many of his catchphrases were taught to him by the boy really lessens them for me.
Yeah, a little bit.
I have a very brief story on I'll Be Back in that they wanted to change it because Arnold, with his thick Austrian accent, could not say I'll be back very well. And they were asking, can we change it to like, I will be back?
Up and
they're
at
like,
them.
And they're like, no, we are not changing it. So he just worked on it enough that it came out fine. I thought it was fine.
I wonder if that's why that scene's
It
there.
it must be a reference to that scene. Up and at them.
What is that from?
It's from The Simpsons. They're trying to teach what's his face.
Rainier Wolfcastle.
Yeah, how to say up and at him, and he's up and at them.
But yeah, that's great too, because he's just like, Because you'd forgotten how the scene went. So you're like, where's he going? Why didn't he just kill him? And it was like, oh, he's going to. He just wants to be less subtle about it.
Oh, right, the car.
I'm going to just run a whole ass car through your front door. But, like, I feel like the scenes where he wasn't trying to be, like, a, Bondy son thing, like, he was less annoying for long.
Oh, the son?
The kid?
I don't know. The fact that, he's a 10-year-old boy and he knows how to code enough to figure out how to open the door and save the day. And I'm like, fuck you, shut up, Wesley much? Jesus, kid.
Well, especially because the same thing could have been solved by just having Arnold punch the door open.
Yeah.
Like, you didn't actually need the kid to be a super hacker.
Yeah, we used his access code earlier in that scene, though. It's not funny twice.
It was set up, though, early in the film because he used that device to hack the ATM.
Yeah.
He even used his same catchphrase. He said easy money both times.
That's right.
I hate it.
I mean, I guess also it was to establish that, like, his mother had learned all this shit and imparted it to him, but...
Yeah, but also it was there so that we could see Butnick from Salute Your Shorts, and Caitlin's 12-year-old self from the past could be like, oh, my boy.
At least you didn't open up like one of the computers and go, oh, it's a Unix operating system.
I know this. God, I hate that so much.
What was the deal with like the precocious kid in the late 80s, early 90s with films?
Because adults didn't understand computers, but children did.
All right.
And because they wanted to trick children into wanting to see the movies, or trick their parents into thinking it was okay for them to see the movies. Like, oh, well, there's a kid in it, so it must be fine.
Yeah, I really was far too young when I first saw Jurassic Park. Like, realistically.
I saw it in theaters.
So did I.
What do you mean far too young?
And I was younger than you. Like 3 years younger than you.
I don't know, it scared the shit out of me. There was a lot of death.
Oh my god.
That was murder and gore.
My brothers and I favorite movie as kids. We saw it, I think, like 5 or 6 times in theaters.
So you're also a little older than me, but the first time I saw Jurassic Park, I was... When did it come out? Like 91?
I'm checking now.
That was 93.
Well, either way, I was like 6
93.
I was like 6 or 7 then. But the only part that freaked me out was when the Tyrannosaurus Rex ate the guy out of the toilet, and that's only because I didn't realize he was a piece of shit lawyer.
But I also, that was like, for me, was seeing that film in the theaters, like, oh, that was the funniest thing because he was on the toilet.
See,
they should have made a flushing sound.
I was 9 years old and a wimp, so...
I was 6 years old and wanted to be like a dinosaur archaeologist.
We're not talking about.
Sorry.
There's not a lot to talk about these films. I mean, they were good, but there's not like a lot.
So,
it's like very straightforward. I don't think there's like a ton of like.
Well, with the second one, there is. I feel like so. Again, Edward Furlong aside, I do have a problem with like the fact that it kind of shifts focus partway through, and it kind of shows.
When it becomes about Dyson and that whole plot?
There was a moment I forgot that T-1000 was running around because they like lost track of him.
Because we didn't see him for like 20 minutes. He was just gone.
Right. That's what this movie's about.
Yeah, like they kind of, for a little while, there was like, instead of it just being escaping this guy, we're going to do a little side note of, hey, let's try to prevent Judgment Day, I guess? Which is fine, but I feel like, they needed to do a better job of keeping... the T-1000 kind of in your mind.
Also, yeah, it really didn't make sense to me how the T-1000 thought to go to Dyson's house.
He had the same files as me. He might realize this angle or something. There was a line. It still doesn't make sense.
It makes zero sense.
It really does not. All you can figure is he does show up after it's been fucked up. Like, maybe after he left with them, the wife was like, fuck this noise, and called the cops anyway? I don't know. Yeah, it doesn't make a lot of sense otherwise.
Yeah. I mean, I liked our friend Dyson.
Sure.
He was fun. He had an amazing death scene.
He did that really well.
Good.
It just, like I said, it kind of, it shifted. And again, you still could have had both stories, but like, it feels like they came up with that angle later and tacked it in the middle, and it wasn't as integrated as smoothly as it could have been. Like, it feels like it maybe just needed one more draft to make them... tie in a little better.
Just a couple minutes less of driving on the highway in the truck, because god damn.
But then we wouldn't have met the film's real hero.
The man in the house car.
Yes.
I love man in house car.
Although his car and house did get destroyed.
So much. I do feel like, too, it was interesting that, the casting of Robert Patrick as the other one, especially, again, when you consider that, thanks, trailers, you're not supposed to know who the good guy is. Like, I feel like, first of all, he, right off the bat has more of kind of like a Kyle Reese quality. He's not as huge.
Yeah,
you
know who else auditioned?
Who?
Billy Idol.
Huh.
Idol. Interesting.
Wait, for which character?
The
For the
T-1000.
T-1000.
That would have been cool. I don't know if I think he's a good actor, but I would have loved it.
But I feel like he kind of falls into that, Robert Patrick, falls into that whole idea of, like, he's an infiltrator. And, like, yeah, when you think about it, Robert Patrick, again, if you don't know who he is gonna kind of blend into a crowd. He's not a huge guy. He's got a very kind of average face.
Plus, he can morph into whatever he wants.
Well, yes,
That's
but
interesting to me. Like, I wonder if
his default form was based off of.
Yeah, well, it must be
Dr. Sung.
because it seemed like it was more work for him to be things other than Robert Patrick.
Yeah, because
Like,
he kept shifting
He
back
kept
to
shifting
him.
back to him.
So there must be some sort of default template he has.
Yeah. It
But
would have been interesting. I mean, it would have spoiled it, but it would have been interesting if the cop that found him was Robert Patrick.
Yeah. But again, that would have, like...
Yeah, that would have spoiled the surprise.
Yeah, plus, he appears naked, but then he figures out, oh, this is what clothes look like in this era or some shit. I'll be clothed the rest of the movie, and then he's clothed the rest of the movie.
That's actually one thing the film never explains, is how he's able to travel through time.
That was my question, too, because they made it clear in the first movie that you need to have, like...
like organic stuff.
Yeah,
on
like
the outside.
a fleshy bodysuit over your skeleton. And this guy's just made of, like, some kind of polyalloy metal thing.
Yeah. And, like, he even goes on about how, like, there's certain things he can't make because of moving parts and gases and chemicals. And so you can't say he's necessarily faking skin, or...
Yeah,
is there
basically
something...
like an inert object.
Yeah, like... He shouldn't have been able to by the rules of the first movie, which they conveniently don't mention in this one.
Yeah.
Which really, so if you hadn't seen the first one for some reason and saw this, you'd be like, why are they naked?
Yeah, why
Didn't he bring a laser gun from the future?
Like, if his clothing is just made out of him, why does he need to be naked when he shows up?
Yeah, he just wanted to be.
Yeah.
Likes the feeling of the cool air on his robot nuts.
And
Why does the Terminator have a schlong?
Infiltration.
Well, yeah, but he theoretically...
No, that's for penetration.
He shows up dressed as a human and immediately starts murdering people. Like, there's not a long-term game with him, Like, he doesn't have to seduce somebody, like...
Maybe he does sometimes.
Yeah, you've seen True Lies.
Not in a very long time, but yes.
Okay. I want to be a bitch and bring up fuck the music in Terminator 1.
Oh, it's so bad.
Oh my...
It sounds like the theme music to Portal.
It sounds like one of the default settings on a Casio keyboard that they occasionally put, like, the noise of...
God, the
like,
store demo.
Squeaking noises over.
I feel like, unfortunately, like, a lot of sci-fi films from the 80s were under the impression that that's what you had to do. Like, if you didn't have the money for the fucking London Symphony Orchestra like Star Wars, you went with plinky synth bullshit.
Yeah, but then you have other movies of the time that had plinky synth bullshit that sounded pretty good.
That's
like
true.
what?
Blade Runner.
Blade Runner.
Gotta add
Tron
Blade
has
Runner
a pretty
to
good
our list.
soundtrack.
Which one?
Tron.
Oh yeah, Wendy
Have we
Carlos.
ever done Tron?
That's phenomenal.
We gotta do Tron.
Actually, yeah.
I would gladly do Tron and Blade Runner.
Yeah, Tron has a great synth-heavy soundtrack as well. Yeah, Blade Runner.
Didn't Daft Punk just show up in the second movie or something?
They did the score for the second movie.
Yeah, but they were
yes,
in
they
it too,
cameoed
weren't
as
they?
well.
Yeah.
To his credit, it was the same composer in the second one.
Yeah, but
would
he
never tell.
had more money.
More money, a better synthesizer.
He had not only a Casio keyboard.
I mean, that's the other thing is, again, we know the first one was low budget. He may not have had a lot of time.
Okay. But also in the second one, he decided we're going to play Bad to the Bone.
Oh,
for the
no.
whole fucking scene until we're sick of it.
That was stupid. The comedy moments in the second one.
Yeah.
Just
Some of them were okay.
What did you like, Jake?
I don't know. I actually like, maybe not the Bad to the Bone, but I thought that the bar whole sequence was pretty good.
Oh yeah, that yes, but the like punctuating it with Bad to the Bone was a mistake. Like that was supposed to be like I think the punchline, and you'd already had the punchline. Now you're just over-egging the pudding.
Especially if you're trying to have the audience believe that he's the villain at that
True.
point.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Every waitress in that place was thirsting for Arnold.
Every
Right,
woman,
I forgot about that. That was so dumb. Like, none of them were reacting appropriately.
Here's the thing. I thought it was hilarious because I had, like, commented on the only thing that I remembered. I had seen Terminator 1, and the thing that I remembered most were that Kyle Reese was hot and that Arnold Schwarzenegger just had schlong for days. So then he shows up in the first movie, and I'm like, oh my god, it's even more than I realized. That's fucking insane. So then the second movie comes, and I'm like, all right, how much schlong are we going to see this time? And we don't, but he walks in naked.
We don't, but we see how much schlong there is in the eyes of all those women.
Right, and they show the first woman at the bar, and Jake goes up, and there's Caitlin at the bar ogling the schlong, and I was like, yep. And then every woman did it, and I just laughed my ass off. It was so good.
If someone walks naked into a bar, I don't care how attractive they are, you shouldn't be going like, yeah. You should be like, what the fuck is happening?
I mean, okay,
this
is a biker bar. This is a biker bar. I'm sure, like,
they've seen worse.
Yeah, exactly. If this were like showing up at Outback Steakhouse, fine. But we're in a situation where like these are rough and tumble bikers. I'm sure
Fat Jim walked in naked last week because he lost a bet.
Exactly. It's probably not the weirdest thing to happen in there.
God damn it, Fat Jim.
And I was trying to think because at a point in the movie, there's this whole what I think is a stupid thing where John is like, "Oh, I order you. You can't kill anybody." But I was thinking about it, and did he actually kill anybody
directly
up until that point either? I think the Terminator's kill count is 0 for this movie.
0.0.
0.0, in fact.
I don't
think he killed anybody in the bar. He seriously injured people.
Severely.
He nailed somebody. He put a knife through somebody's back, but not in a vital spot, like
a week from now. There will be a lot of deaths.
Those guys don't have good insurance.
That's what Ames said, that a lot of these people were going to die from the concussions he gave them, and that's a really good description.
And like I said, it's Batman rules. You know, if you aren't there when they die, you didn't kill them.
I thought Batman rules were that he just didn't realize that those things killed people. Carl, that kills people.
But yeah, like I said too, there seems to be a little retconning already happening with the second one, where like the T units there are being used also as foot soldiers, not just infiltrators.
Mm-hmm.
But like
why
you
don't
said,
they just send like 50 of them at once?
Yeah, why can you only try one time?
I know, because clearly with T2 they're trying a second time. So clearly you can just try again and again and again, and you realize, oh well, the future hasn't changed. Send a couple more Arnolds, send a couple more of these guys.
And that's why it makes sense that they would have this subplot in this one, or main plot, whatever, of maybe we should just keep Skynet from happening, because otherwise it just keeps.
Yeah, that's when the Resistance sends someone back to kill Dyson.
I also wonder, because we are seeing 2 attempts.
Yeah.
Out of how many?
Because because it's always irked me a little bit. It's like, okay, this whole plot in T1, the whole plot to go back and kill John Connor's mother, sure, but why not just go back and kill him as a baby or something?
Mm-hmm.
And like, I guess maybe they're doing that.
Maybe they're constantly killing.
Maybe they've
baby Connors.
Gone back and they've just had to keep sending soldiers back to stop it, and they just have to keep going a little bit further back in time so that the people aren't tipped
Eventually,
off.
There's one robot and one resistance guy. They look at each other and go, fuck it.
Here's a question. How do phone books work? Because Sarah Connor is 19, and she's got a fucking line in the fucking phone book for an apartment she shares with a friend.
If you have a phone bill in your name,
you're automatically in the phone book?
Unless you opt out.
You can
opt out.
See, I don't think anyone uses phone books anymore.
Nope.
So they're absolutely obsolete.
If you had a phone in your name, you would be in the book.
Okay.
There we go.
So she has a phone in her name. Is Ginger in the phone book?
Apparently the phone's in Sarah's name, no.
My father, famously, in the 70s, apparently it costs extra to go unlisted. Like, you had to pay extra on your phone bill if you did not want to be listed.
Wow, that seems like bullshit.
So he registered his...
doppelganger?
No, he registered his phone number in the name Kitty Black, so that in the phone book it was listed as Black Kitty.
Nice.
Because he had a black cat that he liked.
That's very nice.
We do too.
So
we also do.
I think, you know what T2 really needed was at the end, Arnold has half kerploded the liquid Terminator. But instead of him just falling into the lava on his own, at the last minute, Pugsley jumps down from the rafters and gives him the last nudge.
See, when you kept bringing up Pugsley while we were watching the movie, and I didn't realize that was the name of the iguana.
Yes.
And I assume Ginger's iguana? Sarah's iguana?
No,
Sarah's
it was Sarah's
iguana.
iguana. Yeah, Ginger didn't care for it.
Okay, well, the iguana from the Terminator was named Pugsley. So, yes.
I also thought you were making like a...
No.
an Addams Family joke.
It sounds like a joke Chris would make, so it made sense.
But it didn't make sense because it was like, this is not appropriate at all here. Like,
There's
what
no
is it? What is it, a Wednesday afternoon? Why are you asking about Pugsley? Like, no, but like really, like I don't get it. That's what I mean.
What I did find funny from the first one I meant to mention and forgot was
Mention it now.
the sense of humor of whoever picked what Sarah's nightshirt. Because she's wearing a Jetsons nightshirt.
Yeah.
Oh, was she?
And so she's in this movie wearing this shirt from characters from an idyllic future.
Nice.
And no.
Oh, what's nice in The Terminator is the couple times we hear the answering machine, and
Yeah.
it says you're talking to a machine.
But machines need love
Machines
too.
need love too. And I was like, yes!
Yeah, they did. There was a lot, and there were some interesting sound design choices too. Like there was when she's at the club.
Tech noir.
Tech noir. Some of the music I felt like was making references to machines. And
Oh, was it
things
nice?
like that,
It wasn't bad to the bone.
It wasn't bad to the bone.
God, that was such a bad choice.
Although that was a
Would you say that it was bad?
Bad to the Bone was also a reference to later in the film when he removes his skin and he's in his bro bones.
Oh god, that's gross.
I liked it.
Oh yeah, but it was.
I remembered it much differently. Also, like because I saw that scene as a kid.
It's
that
not
was
very gory. So.
well, I didn't remember it being gory. I actually remembered him being like having some kind of blue light emanating under his skin.
Ooh.
And so now I'm wondering if I remember something else, but I feel like that's what I remembered.
I
And
think
it's just
the things that traumatize you as children are getting so built up in your head sometimes.
Yeah.
I remember, and this is totally off topic.
Us never.
No, never happens. I must have been very, very little, like 5. And, we'd reread the same, like, Disney books and stuff over and over again. And there was one where I think it's, like, Donald or somebody they're camping and they're afraid there's gonna be a wolf. And on one page, it's like the eyes of the wolf peering out from a bush. And as a kid, I would always skip the next page where you see the wolf because I was scared of it. And I would hide the book somewhere in my room so I wouldn't see the wolf. And then one day, years later, I pick up the book and I look at it and it's just just a cartoon wolf.
With
and
Disney eyes.
With normal wolf eyes.
I used to hide my copy of How the Grinch Stole Christmas because the old school cover had like bright red, like horrifying eyes. So I made my parents at some point like take it out of my bedroom. I like would not allow it in my room. It terrified me.
So
I don't know why.
I've probably told this on the podcast before, but when I was a kid, I had a Viewmaster slide book. Viewmaster
Yeah.
Okay. I had Viewmaster slide.
Do you want to explain what it is though, just in case any of these children
for the
have no
people at home
fucking
that don't know
clue
what a
it is?
Viewmaster is, it is a
Early VR helmet.
A slideshow for
it's like a kid's toy,
children.
and it would often be sold with a book or something, or a tape. I think I had a lot that were like cassette tapes that you'd listen to, and then you'd like. But they were 3D because they were. It was like a stereoscopic thing. So there was one that I was fucking terrified of because I had the real Ghostbusters, and I was fucking terrified of the Boogeyman character. Hold on, I got a picture, so just hold on.
Okay, you're
And
gonna
I was
show it
fucking
to me.
terrified
We'll
of
have to
it.
put
And
this
I
on the
thought,
Facebook.
and I thought for sure, it's like because it was in 3D,
Yep.
and it just scared the shit out of me. It was the same type of thing with your Wolf book, where I just like skip over it every time. And I like later on in life, I'm like, oh, I must have just been having the same reaction, just like as a child, whatever reason.
You big it up in your imagination.
It's actually horrifying.
And here's the fucking thing. It's so fucking horrifying.
Oh, I remember that
It
episode.
looks like the Joker, but with can I see it? With like
Jesus.
Yeah, it's very cartoon
It is
Joker.
it's like a
Unpleasant.
Joker satyr. I hate
Yeah, no,
it.
you were right to be afraid of that.
You know,
was
I
fucking
hate
terrible.
it. I hate
Imagine
it a
that
lot.
in 3D.
Yeah, no, that's
and
not
especially
good.
in one of those Viewmasters, all the way up over your face, where it's the only thing you can
Oh
see.
my god, I hate it. Yikes.
Oh boy.
So bad. Like the power cloud.
Oh no. But yeah, you're right, Jake. I hadn't thought of that, but that again, like using that song when they did, really does also kind of fuck with the idea that which one's the good guy. Like
Yeah.
you don't actually have your villain have Bad to the Bone play under them.
Yeah.
I don't think that song has ever been used unironically ever.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, here's a random note just from the very, very end of The Terminator, where we see how the photo gets taken that we eventually learn that Reese masturbates over daily.
So much.
And I didn't realize, because the first one we see the photo, we're like, oh yeah, that's kind of a picture of her, isn't it? It's just, what it actually is just a very bad picture of the dog she's with. Because she was with a very pretty dog, and the little boy that took the picture totally missed the dog.
Yeah.
And I was irate.
That's fair.
More dog, please.
So
I want my money back.
We know T2 came out in 1991, but it obviously takes place much later.
Well, it must be 10 years later, because the kid's 10.
At least 10, right?
Oh, good point.
Do they say he's 10?
The Wikipedia says 10-year-old son.
Okay. Yeah, so it's at least 1995.
So Judgment Day is even
Imminent.
closer.
Right
Super
around
imminent.
the corner.
Yeah, which would explain even more why she's as stressed out as she is. She is running out of time. Hadn't thought of that. So there actually was an alternate ending shot.
Was there? I didn't read this.
Oh yeah, and you can probably find it on YouTube. If I can find it, I'll put it on the Facebook. Where they made it, like, the current ending, she's like, oh, I'm going into an unknown future with hope. There was an ending film that was much more blatantly like, this is it, we won.
Oh. I was wondering if they won.
It cuts to a park, which I don't know if it's the one from her vision or not, from the earlier in the film, but it's adult John in a suit pushing a kid, and the voiceover's like, John fights the good fight in Washington now. He's like a senator or a congressman or something. Or
President John Connor.
Well, no, he's a legislator. But yeah, so there was a blatantly a makeup aged up Linda Hamilton sitting there.
But here's the thing, she is definitely going to jail.
Yes.
After this movie.
Because
there's no way to explain it. You do have a bit of Terminator arm in that factory.
But they'd cover
they melted it.
No, the one that
got
crushed in the machine.
But even at that, she's clearly a fucking terrorist.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, by all accounts, by all evidence.
Oh, she knew all this.
She knew. Well, she blew
up Cyberdyne.
I mean,
right?
That's true. Also that.
Quite
a lot.
She blew up a bunch of cop
And
cars.
attacked the Dyson family.
Attacked the Dyson family. Took out a helicopter. She escaped from a mental hospital by killing injuring a bunch of people.
Well, again,
she didn't even kill the really lousy guy.
If Terminator: Dark Fate is to be believed, she does not go to jail.
Crazy. Does she go into hiding?
Yeah.
Okay.
Basically. Goes on the lam. But yeah, no, in reality, they would find... I don't care what country she goes to, they would extradite her either legally or via the CIA.
Yeah, because...
They'd have to find her first.
They'll find her.
It's a lot of world.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no one's gonna believe the story.
No. I mean, I guess technically speaking, you could try to find Mrs. Dyson, who is in theory still alive somewhere, but I'm sure the CIA killed her.
There's a good chance that T-1000 killed the whole family.
That's true, he did go to the house.
Oh, yeah, we never saw what happened when we went to the house.
Oh, fuck.
Unless they told them to go elsewhere, but who knows?
Maybe.
Actually, they maybe were staying elsewhere since there was, a giant hole in the wall.
I don't know, but they have to know, when's hubby coming back?
He's not.
He's not, but they didn't know that
as Jake
at the time.
pointed out, goddamn the LAPD. As far as you knew, he was a hostage.
Yeah, that's the other thing, too. It's okay, so the security guards knew who he was, or the guy that they talked to, Carl, knew who Dyson was. So his assumption must be, and he also knew that Sarah Connor and the Terminator were wanted fugitives. So when they went to the police, they must have said, okay, one of our scientists is being held hostage by those people that have been on the news.
Yeah.
So, and then the cops
This is what he looks like.
They open the door.
Just immediately
open fire. Just blow him away. It's like...
Well, maybe the cops are in league with whomever was keeping all the Terminator shit hidden, and they needed to get rid of the evidence, and etc.
Maybe all the cops are Terminators, too.
How deep does this rabbit hole go?
Terminators, too.
That's the one thing, I feel like if this movie were made today, we would probably see a lot more of the evil Cyberdyne Corporation.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, for sure.
Because it kind of sounds like, if you go by the timeline she gives us, they were fairly kind of benign-ish until Dyson had his breakthrough with the processor.
Well, he didn't really seem like he had. I mean, his breakthrough was he reverse engineered.
Well, yeah, he figured out how
the processor that they had, and it kind of makes me wonder: was the factory from T1 a Cyberdyne facility?
I assume that's the idea.
So when they were cleaning up after this episode, they're like, oh, what's all this garbage here?
Yeah.
Like, Miles Dyson was like the guy that operated that machine, and he's like, oh, what's this jammed in here? Ah.
Oh, so that was actually something I noticed, a difference between the first one and the second one. Based on what Kyle says in the first one, Skynet, comes online and basically is like, humanity sucks, and kills us, which I kind of liked.
Yeah.
But then in the second one, it's Skynet comes online, people realize it's become self-aware, and they try to unplug it. So is why Skynet decides to destroy humanity, like an act of self-defense. I kind of preferred the original version, where it was just like, the planet would be better off without you people.
Yeah, but that's where we get the tie-in with
Pepsi?
Yes. No, our prototype. Because that wasn't that thing in the prototype that they wanted to shut him down?
Yes, that is true.
And they were like, no, you can't shut us down. Fuck you.
It does sort of beg the question, though, what was Skynet's long-term plan? It's like, well, it killed humanity, so I guess I'll play chess against myself forever.
Yay.
In the words of B.B. Rodriguez, kill all humans.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah. I mean, the thing, I'm kind of, I'd hate to be there when it happens, but honestly, if the machines decide, fuck humanity, they got a point. Have you met us?
Go ahead, machines.
We're the worst.
Yeah, it doesn't make a lot of sense that, I wonder, what is Skynet's reason for living? Is it just because they can't self-terminate? They're just like, I guess we have to keep killing all humans.
Well, because originally it was they basically were, because again, the first one it was humanity sucks, must be destroyed. Logical. Second one, it's humanity wants to kill us, must be destroyed. Still logical. But yeah, it's unclear what it would do if it won,
Yeah,
what happens when...
Like automated unit 3947 or whatever.
Right. Well, they were, since they couldn't, that's the difference. They cannot reproduce. That's their whole problem. The minute the last one of them is killed, that's it. Whereas Skynet, if it killed all of humanity and then it's just sitting there, it's like...
I should get some more humanity to kill.
Or it just builds an idyllic society of kindly robots that, keep the planet healthy, feed the animals.
Aww.
Fuck, that
The dogs would
great.
bark at them a lot.
Well, no, they just don't like the infiltrators. They'd probably be fine with, one that was admitting it was a robot, especially if it pet it and gave it walkies.
Yeah, dogs are pretty dumb. They wouldn't know the difference.
Aww.
Yeah, no, I'm really loving this image of, just a lush green world populated by animals and kindly robots. And it's all being fertilized with the remains of our terrible, horrible species. That's fine. This is great.
That's kind of like how Agent Smith in The Matrix felt, right?
Yeah, human beings are a disease.
I betcha this is a Harlan Ellison story. God damn it, no!
That's the thing. Whenever you look at a story where machines are like, humanity must be destroyed, you have to kind of go, you're not wrong.
Mm.
We're awful.
I know. I know.
They're, yeah, it's kind of the plot of Horizon Zero Dawn, too.
Is it?
Not really, not quite, but it has that effect where, after most of humanity is destroyed, the robots are just like, yeah, let's just be dinosaurs now.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, they're just kind of chilling around being animals.
Just being
having fun.
Park.
They just start being animals.
Those giraffe ones are the best.
Yeah.
They're so huge.
They're good friends. They
Uh,
don't attack.
no. Oh, that got bleak. But, that's, when you think about it, people talk about, the ultimate hopeful message of Star Trek. But even in Star Trek, humanity has to almost wipe itself out to get its shit together.
Yeah.
Even the most optimistic vision of humanity is we only come to our senses because we almost fucking die.
Mm-hmm.
No one has ever, I think, in fiction just been like, no, we eventually learn our lesson without nearly destroying ourselves.
So do we think Judgment Day has been averted?
I forget what the sequels say. I think it just keeps getting pushed back.
Yeah, you can send more Terminators. You'll be fine. Send a bunch of Terminators. Send Reese back again for fun. In fact, send the whole Resistance back so that they don't have to live in that future. It'll be like that episode of TOS, All Our Yesterday, and they'll just live in the past.
There we go. They eventually have sent back so many goddamn Terminators that, like, there's just a whole town populated by them. Because they don't know what to do anymore. You know, they've all they've all lost track of whoever it was they were supposed to kill. They've all just moved to this small town in California. Hello, Fred. Hello, Jim. Hello, Dottie. Hello. You know, one of them's on a riding mower. Another one is pretending to be a child for some reason, so it's like playing hula hoop.
This got weird, Chris.
Of course it did. It's me.
I'm just thinking it's like that episode of Gravity Falls where it's like you only get one chance, so like they just keep reliving the same thing over and over and over again.
We just watched that one.
Yeah. That's what I'm thinking. They just have to keep sending more people back over and over and over again.
And eventually he wins that pig.
Sounds like Groundhog Day.
Yeah, it sort of is, yeah.
But there is a time machine involved. It's not like a loop he has to break.
A time tape measure.
Yes.
Yeah, I think the last thing I was going to say is like the very, very end of T2 where they just go hog wild with the effects and just decide, okay, T1000 is going to be like 85 things at once now, and good luck.
Yep.
Frozen by liquid nitrogen.
Yeah, that looked so good.
Blasted into a million pieces. Turning into the floor, everything, every pattern he steps on being absorbed, flickering.
Yeah, the flickering was
cool.
I really hope that somewhere, at some point, just like someone has cosplayed...
Shot through the face. Yes.
Where someone has cosplayed Mispainted Sleeve Chapel. I really hope someone has cosplayed Stripey Arm, but otherwise a policeman T-1000.
Yes.
I kind of
think
wonder...
you have to do it, Chris.
I really hope they let Robert Patrick keep one of the bullet wounds. Because a lot of them, you know, were clearly just plastic before they turned to CG.
Oh, like keep the bullet wound. That's what you mean.
Yeah, like, here, take one of these home, Rob. Like, I hope it's on a shelf somewhere. Daddy, what's that? That's from Terminator, when Daddy was a liquid robot. No, you weren't, loser. Oh.
Speaking of liquid robot, I think I read before that, you know, there was a lot of CG or like CG in this film, obviously.
What?
But some of the effects were practical, and like the melting of the you know, when he was frozen, when he melted again, like they were just using like mercury.
I kind of wondered
to create that effect.
Yeah.
Because it did. I remember thinking, I was like, I wonder if that's just mercury. Because mercury does have a lot of weird effects because it's got such a low melting point, right?
Yeah. Well, it's liquid at room temperature.
Yeah. And of course, what is basically federal law, when a shapeshifter dies, it has to turn into some of the things it had turned into previously in the film or show.
Now, what else do you see that in?
I can't think of anything off the top of my head, but I just feel like it's...
But it is the rule when a shapeshifter dies. None of the changelings in DS9 did that.
Well, no, they're one of the few that breaks
turn into dust.
Yeah. But I feel like that's just something you see a lot, and of course now I can't think of other examples, but... It is something you see frequently where, like, when a shapeshifter croaks, and who knows, maybe this was the first one that did it, and they're all kind of referencing this. Couldn't tell you.
Nope, Harlan Ellison did it. It's always
but
done.
It is a fairly common thing where it's like, you know.
Yeah, I wish I could think of an example, too, because I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. Just Google it, kids. I'm sure something will come up.
Kids.
Dying shapeshifters.
Yikes.
Oh, God.
There's probably a TV tropes page for it.
The Boogeyman is still my last search, and it's terrible.
So bad.
So scary. Was it voiced by Mark Hamill? Because it should have been.
Might have been. I don't remember.
I have a clip of it right here.
Yikes.
You won't stop me this time, apparently.
That is horrifying.
Ah, yes, there is a whole TV tropes page. It's called Shapeshifter Swan Song.
Ah.
So, yeah, just find that, and it'll tell you...
Give us a highlight.
Well, Ames, you'll enjoy this.
Oh, no.
The photo... for the page is Clayface in Batman the Animated Series.
Son of a bitch. It's always Batman.
I'm not fucking with you. It really is. It is.
That's such a good episode.
It is.
Poor Clayface.
But yeah, that's a good example. And plus, he's actually, you know, spoilers, he fakes his death. But when he fakes his death, he does the whole, I'm going to turn into a bunch of things thing. But yeah, there's a whole TV tropes page for it. It is a fairly common gag, for lack of a better term.
Okay.
No, I want to watch that episode.
Good episode. I think it's a two-parter, actually. Anyway.
Yeah.
Speaking of shapeshifters dying, I think we're about to throw this episode into the vat of whatever acid that was and let it die.
Yeah. Ooh, you know what we should
Liquid
find, though, and
steel.
share? Is I'm sure any commercials we can find of the, wait, why did they make children's toys for this adult's film that there definitely were for this movie?
Oh, wow, there's so much swearing in this movie.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh,
but yeah, I mean, I was...
We talked about this with RoboCop,
little
though.
when this
Like,
came out, and I watched it for sure.
but also just like all these movies that were very much not for children getting toy lines.
That is kind of strange.
This definitely did. RoboCop did. Jurassic Park, which, you know, kids did go to, but the toy line had nothing to do with the movies. Like, Alan Grant was, like, built like Schwarzenegger and had, like, a fucking net bazooka.
Yeah, but I feel like at the time the sense was that, like, yeah, these movies weren't for children, but parents would take their children parents would take their children to these movies.
Yeah. Anyway.
Because they need to get the kids shut up for 5 fucking minutes.
Plus, it's like that time we went to a midnight showing of Watchmen. And someone had, like, their 4-year-olds there.
That's talking about hanging dong. In that movie.
Dude, I was like, wow, you're bringing your kid. You really don't know anything about this movie, do you?
Or you're just horrible
kid
parents.
is about to see so much blue swinging dick.
But, yeah, I remember actually distinctly the one thing I really remember that was advertised very heavily at the time was the Terminator hand.
Oh,
It was
I know I had friends who had that.
Yeah, you'd put it in your sleeve and you could,
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah. Sorry, I just wanted to mention that before we
No, yeah,
logged
for
off.
sure.
'Cause
Yeah,
Also a popular Halloween makeup set that you could get to do the half blown out face.
And the eye thing.
Yeah. It's like a plastic thing that you'd put over your face.
Does it look better than the puppet head?
Probably, yeah.
But yeah, we'll have to see if we can find any of the old ads. And if not those, at least the pictures.
I'm sure we can.
Again,
we should share the Crossfire ad one of these days.
We must have the first time we brought it up.
I hope so.
I'm pretty sure we did. Because it was a good time.
But yeah, no, there were. I remember a lot of those. And again, especially the arm thing. I remember even like fucking with it in the store. Because they had it in the kind of packaging where you could kind of manipulate it even without opening it. Because they wanted you to want it.
Oh, so that you could like make it do finger things?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. I like that.
Yeah, it was cool.
That's what
giving people the finger was always fun.
I was about to say, that's really how I wanted T1 to end, was like with the broken arm reaching out to her. Like, in its last moments, it turns around and just flips her the bird.
I don't think that would be one of his programs.
True. Anyway, sorry, I interrupted your outro.
That's all right, let that. We're good, because we're fine now.
Yeah.
So yeah, let me continue with the outro, because you just listened to us talk about the Terminator and another Terminator.
Woo!
Several Terminators. They're best friends now. But we're not going to do another 10 forward next week. Next week we're going to do what I said we were going to do last time. So apologies for that. Because next week is an exciting week, because we're talking Threshold and Meld. I liked Meld.
I don't remember that one, to be honest. I think it was good, though.
Is
It's got
Threshold...
fucking Lon Suter, our newest best friend.
Oh, yeah, that was pretty good.
Yeah, so look forward to that next week.
Is Threshold lizard time?
Yes.
Oh, no.
We're going to have excellent conversations about
Fuck,
that
can we watch
episode.
Jurassic Park after that one?
No, yeah, we can't do 10 forward, normal episode 10
I
forward.
know, we also... Dinosaurs aren't...
I mean, we could.
We won't.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, so that'll be next week, as promised before. You will get to hear stuff about Threshold. It'll be excellent. You can also listen to all of our other 10 forwards, which are somewhere in a playlist in our SoundCloud page.
Mm-hmm.
We've done a whole bunch of other, like, either vaguely tangentially related or kind of like things that remind us of things in from Star Trek, or just general sci-fi kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And all of the Star Wars for reasons. Up on our SoundCloud page, look for it there, or, wherever you listen to podcasts. I'm not going to judge which one you do, unless it's iTunes. What else? What else we do? We do Facebook. We do Twitter.
Tumblr.
Yeah, check out our Tumblr.
Yep.
No blog activity this week because we did 10 forward, so we'll catch up on all the blog activities that we've been doing. They've been a lot of fun.
Alternately, we could have Caitlin write a piece ranking the hotness of the Terminators.
There you go.
Haven't there only been 2 Terminators?
Yeah, pretty much.
I mean, I don't know what's in the other.
There's
movies.
ones in the sequels, but they don't count. Fuck them.
Is Summer Glau a Terminator?
We just talked about this.
She is, right? Yeah.
she
Okay,
is.
well, I've not seen the show, and I don't intend to. But yeah,
She's the hottest Terminator by default. I don't know, I'm just kidding. She's not.
she-
There's a lady Terminator, I think, in the 3rd movie. Too.
okay. We've only covered these 2.
Yeah.
One day, maybe we'll cover the other ones if we run out of things to talk about. But no, Star Trek continues forever because there's going to be 8,000 new series and Kelvin movies are back.
Maybe,
I don't quite know what's happening.
There's gonna be a 4th Kelvin movie.
So fucking done. Oh, speaking of being so fucking done, I'm done. This has been Ames.
This has been Caitlin.
This has been Jake.
And this is always Chris.
We'll be back.
Ah.
Hasta la vista, baby.
Ah.
Ah.